Hey, this is SJ Talks and I coming back at you with another video. Um, Shannon Sharp. Um, you haven't got a chance to check out my other video that I did about him um, and the 19-year-old. Go ahead and check that out. I'm going to link that up to this one. I've been going back and forth with people on Facebook. I like a good debate. I like a good debate. It's challenging to me. It resulted in one guy calling me the N word with the A on the end, the black guy. I was like, "Who you calling?" I just get a kick out of it. I crack up. They just be cracking me up. This they just don't realize I just be cracking up. I just be putting typing, and I just be cracking up. I don't take them seriously. I do not take them. I'm on YouTube, so I don't take them seriously. we I would I was going back and forth in the debate. Shannon Sharp. Oh, Robert Perkins. He's here on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. I follow him on Facebook, and he put a post on talking about the age difference between Shannon Sharp and the young lady. Now, she's no longer 19 years old, for the record. She's no longer 19 years old. She's 21 now. But at the time when he was involved with her, she was only 19 and he was 54. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. We were talking about a man in his 50s versus a 19-year-old. They were going back and forth with me because I said that 19 is not, yes, legally, according to the law, you are a legal adult at the age of 18. At the age of 18, you are, in fact, a legal adult. But just because someone is a legal adult according to the law does not mean they're mentally, a 19-year-old. I guess I'm a little passionate about that because I was in an age gap relationship at the age of 19. I was in an age gap relationship at the age of 19. I was 19 years old, and my son's father was 33. There's a 14-year age gap between me and my oldest son's dad. Now, and he pursued me. He pursued me, and I was younger than that, and he pursued me, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Um, and I guess I'm a little passionate about that because I was in an age gap relationship, and I think of myself at that time mentally at that time when I think about myself, my 19-year-old self was not making. Even though I moved out and I was on my own at 19, I moved out and I got my first apartment at 19. I was, my son's father had, I'm not trying to trash him or anything. That's not the point. Um, but I'm just trying to make a point. He had three baby mamas. He had three baby mamas. I didn't have the sense enough to think logically, or should I be getting involved with someone that has three baby mamas? And it's interesting because I'm 57 years old now. In my 57-year-old brain, I think back to some of the decisions I made when I was 19 years old or younger or in my 20s. And I think it doesn't make sense to me now at 57. My 57-year-old brain can't make sense of the decisions I made when I was. Because why? Because I'm a lot wiser, I'm older, more wiser, have more life experience. And so your mind, your brain at 19 is not the same as when you're in your 50s. If he had got involved with a woman that was in her 50s, the same age as him, then okay, this woman would they would okay. And then they were arguing that this because they were going back and forth and saying, well, 19 is legal. Yeah, but just because something is legal doesn't make it right. Slavery was legal at one time too. Did it make it right? If they changed the law and they said that 15 you're considered an adult, A bunch of these men would be running to 15-year-olds trying to marry these 15-year-old girls just because of something legal. There's a lot of things was legal doesn't make it right. Slavery was legal too. Jim Crow was legal. Did that make it right? Just because they say, well, she was 19 legally. Yeah, legally, yes. From a legal standpoint, she is an adult. A 19-year-old is an adult from a legal standpoint. But does it make it moral? Morally, is it morally right? Is it morally right for a man in his 50s to get involved with someone that's 19 years old? Was it morally right for my son's father to get involved with me at 19 and he's in his 30s with 3 baby mamas? I mean, just because, yeah, I was legally grown, and trust me, I thought I was grown too. It wasn't as grown as I thought I was. But a 19-year-old isn't even old enough to buy a drink. She can't even buy a drink at 19. So I was just going back and forth with these people. But some of the same people that are saying, "Oh, she's an adult. 19 is an adult." Some of them same people, a lot of those people ragged on Angie Stone for getting involved with D'Angelo. I guess she was in her 30s and he was 19, and they had a child together. Lots of people were ragging on Angie Stone for getting involved with D'Angelo at 19. Oh, she groomed him. What a double standard. Now when it comes to Shannon Sharp, oh, well, 19 is legal. 19 is a legal adult. Well, okay, the same argument can be used in Angie Stone's case too, though. Well, a lot of people, including myself, were saying that as well. And my thought is, um, a 19-year-old woman is versus a much older man is different because the Bible says, from a biblical standpoint, that women are the weaker vessel. Women are the weaker vessel. So I made that point in there too, and this guy said they were going off on me. Young women are more vulnerable. Younger women are the weaker vessel, and they're more vulnerable, more subject to be abused mentally, physically, than maybe a male at that age. And I'm not saying that a 19-year-old male is not vulnerable, but a 19-year-old woman is even more vulnerable because she's the weaker vessel, according to the Bible, because she's more prone to be subject to abuse mentally, physically, be taken advantage of sexually. And so that was some of the points that I was making. They wasn't trying to hear all that. And I'm like, a 19-year-old, it's not the same as, yeah, while legally, yes, that is an adult, but a 19-year-old brain is not the same as a 54-year-old brain. Because at 19, you don't have any life experience. You haven't lived long enough to have any life experience at 19. I mean, 19, I didn't know jack. I knew a little something. I mean, I'm not saying I was a complete idiot. I wasn't a complete idiot. But at the same time, I didn't know at 19 what I know at 57. Because I think in my 57-year-old brain, the decisions that I made when I was in my 20s and late teens, it's like, wow, really? You know what I mean? You're not the same in your 50s that you are at 19. 19 is teens. It's barely out of your teens. She was barely out of high school, and she's a young woman. He's in his 50s, old enough to be practically her grandfather. That's why I say it was giving predator. And they said, well, she's the one preying on him because she's trying to get him for 50 minutes. Okay, well, he was stupid enough to let her do that. He should have had enough sense to know that, okay, I'm a man on a certain level, making a certain amount of money. I need to be careful. Like Monique told him. Monique gave him a wise counsel. Monique gave him wise counsel, and she told him that he shouldn't be messing around with the young ladies. Monique gave him wise counsel, and he should have listened to Monique. And now, because he didn't listen to Monique, this is what he has to deal with. He got to deal with a 21-year-old woman, young woman, trying to shake him down for $50 million. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened at someone closer to his age, but what you think you're dealing with when you in your 50s, you dealing with a 19-year-old? What you think you're dealing with? What you think you're dealing with? In that conversation that she was having with him, yeah, she was recording it, so that might have had something to do with, because she was recording the conversation, it might have had something to do with how she was responding to him. But everybody's saying she sounds slow, that she sounds mentally slow. She sounds like she's not mentally totally, she doesn't sound like a woman that would be closer to his age. We'll put it that way. She doesn't sound like a woman that would be closer to his age. And I just think that is just, I did a video talking about that. I did a video talking about young women getting involved with older men. It was titled, and I might try to link that up. I said, leave these young ladies, leave these old heads alone. Because a lot of times these young men, they want to get involved with these young women because they know that they know they don't want us older women. They trash us older women because why? Because they know that we're older and we're wiser, and we're not going to fall for them games. We're not going to fall for a banana in a tailpipe. They know that we're not going to fall for the okie doke, and they know that we hip to their games. And they know that. That's why they don't want to fool with us. But they say y'all didn't hit the wall and stuff like that. No, y'all don't want to. Y'all know, because y'all know that us older ladies, we're in the know. We're in the know, and we're not going to fall for y'all mess. We're not going to fall for y'all little games and manipulations. We already up on the game, and they know that. They know that we already up. We already hip to the game. We already know the game. He knows a woman his age is already hip to the game. And he was trying to manipulate that young woman. He was trying to manipulate her and how he emote her, manipulate her how he wanted to manipulate her. And that's what he was trying to do with that young lady. And that's why he wanted to mess with somebody so young. But what she did was she flipped the script. Now she done flipped the script on him. That's what he didn't see coming. So it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, as they say. So he should have listened to Monique. He should have listened to her counsel. Now, that being said, just because something is legally right doesn't make it morally right. That was my point, the whole point that I was trying to make. You know, if my 19-year-old daughter came up in here with a... It's a good thing I didn't have daughters. God knew what he was doing by not giving me daughters, because both times I was pregnant, I wanted girls, and I had boys instead. God knew what he was doing by not giving me daughters, because now I act like I'm so scared of firearms. I'll say firearms. I act like I'm so scared of firearms now because I have sons. They're fascinated with firearms. But if I had a daughter, I can't say too much because this is YouTube, but I had a daughter, put it this way, I would have had a little collection. I would have had a collection. Yeah. I wish you would. I would have wished you would with my daughter. I would have wished that you would. I would have wished that you would have put your hands on my daughter. I would have wished you would. I would have been so protective. I would have been too protective had I had a daughter. I would have been too protective of her. I would have been so protective of her that she probably would have resented me for it. Yeah. So, I mean, God knew what he was doing by not giving me a daughter. He really did. I would have been too overprotective. I would have been too protective of her. I was a little protective of my sons, but I would have went overboard with my daughter. Yeah. I would have went up and beyond. And so God knew what he was doing by not giving me a girl. As I was looking at my niece, and I was down in Atlanta, I was looking at my niece, and my niece looks just like my oldest niece looks just like my sister. They're like, that's. I was looking at her. I said, "Boy, it sure would have been nice to have a mini me." But God knew what he was doing. Because I would have had a collection. I'm trying to be careful because this is YouTube, but I would have had a collection. Yeah, I would have had a collection. I wouldn't have played that. When it came to my daughter, I wouldn't have played none of that. But that being said, but that being said, I want to talk about consent right quick. My phone is acting up. I got to clear out some stuff, storage on my phone, so I ain't got so much time. I want to talk about consent right quick. She's saying in this lawsuit that she has on Shannon Sharp, she's saying that he did some things that in the email. I heard some of the stuff that they were talking about in the emails and stuff, and she reveals that he did some stuff to her, and it'll be in the court documents too because they're public, so they'll probably wind up reading them off on YouTube. She revealed that he did some stuff to her that she did not consent to. Now everybody is saying that, well, which somebody was interviewing his lawyer. Was it Boyce? Somebody was interviewing his lawyer. Oh, or was it Storm Monroe? It was somebody that was interviewing his. Oh no, it was Don Lemon. I was watching Don Lemon, and he was interviewing his lawyer. And his lawyer was saying, well, she consented. She don't have a case because she consented to be with him and everything. There's emails of her saying things, I'm not going to repeat it, but there's emails. Yeah, there are emails with her engaging with him and saying, and flirting with him and saying what she wants him to do to her and all this kind of stuff. Yes, that's true. It's a fact. However, me being a female, and Tony Gaskins, I was watching Tony Gaskins, and Tony Gaskins, I highly recommend you check out his videos where he was talking about that. He was talking to this young man. Watch the video where he's talking to this young man too, and they got some good insights on the case. And now he's a man that Tony Gaskins is a man that actually gets it. He was basically saying you gotta get consent every time. A man has to get consent every time. I am a woman. A man has to get consent every time. And yeah, she was engaging with him. She did consent to be with him at certain times, but it could have been some sexual acts that could have taken place that she did not consent to. That's where she gonna get him at. If he did something to her sexually that she didn't consent to, that's where she can get him at. See, like Tony Gaskin said, it has to be the consent has to be given every single time. Like these men try to justify violating a woman, a wife. Well, she's my wife, so I can. No, 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 no. Just because she's your wife does not mean that you have the right to be with her without her consent. Because men think because, oh, she's my wife, I can. No, 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 no. Just because you are her husband does not give you the right to be with her without her consent. If she tells you no, she really doesn't want to for whatever reason, and you proceed to go on anyway, okay, you didn't have her consent, and that's a violation. That's something these men don't understand. If you do a specific sexual act towards a woman and you don't have her consent, but you do it anyway, she tells you no, I don't want that, but you do it anyway, that's a violation. You didn't have her consent. You didn't have her consent. She did not give you consent to do that. Even taking a condom off during the act of, a lot of men are guilty of this. It's called stealthing. I did a whole video on it. I didn't get a lot of hits on it. Other content creators have talked about that too. If you are in the process of having relations with a woman, and there was an understanding beforehand that a condom was going to be used, but you proceed to remove the condom during the process during the process of y'all having relations, you remove the condom. I know because it's happened to me before. I'm just gonna come on out clean with it. It's happened to me before. That's a violation. You, y'all, she said y'all. The understanding was that you were going to use a condom before relations took place. During the course of y'all having relations, you take it off, you remove it. You're subjecting her to an unplanned pregnancy and a disease, possible disease. So that's serious. It's a violation. California is the only state, they don't have a law against it, but they had in place, it was a woman that fought against that down there, but it was so she was going up against so many men that they didn't pass it. She was trying to get the law passed, but she was going up against so many misogynistic men, she couldn't get it passed. However, there's no law against it. But however, in California, a woman can sue. California is the only state where a woman can sue when a man does that because it's a violation. It's a violation. See, women's rights haven't really gotten all that far. That's a violation. If y'all agreed that there was a condom that it was going to be used before relations took place, okay, and during the process of y'all having relations, you take it off. It's called Stephanie. Without her knowledge, that is a violation. That is a violation. A lot of men don't understand that. It is a violation. Same as a sexual act. She says she doesn't consent to a specific sexual act, and you do it anyway, or you coerce her into doing it. She doesn't want to do it, but you coerce her into doing it, or you pressure her into doing it. That's a violation. It's a violation. She's not giving her consent. Like Tony Gaskin said, check that video. He said it has to be consent every time. And that's where she can get him at. Because his lawyer's like, well, she was with him and the emails prove it. True. True. She was. She consented to be with him at certain times. However, she did mention in one of those emails that he did something with her. He didn't use the condom when he was supposed to or whatever. I'm not going to repeat everything. And she didn't consent to it. That's where she can get him at. That's where she can get him. That's a violation. If you a man and you do a sexual act with a woman that she did not consent to, that is a violation. Or you coerce her into, or you pressure her into doing it. She don't want to do it, but you pressure her into it, or you coerce her into doing it, or you say, well, if you love me, you would do this for me, or you ain't no good woman, or a good woman would do this, or if you don't do it, I'm gonna cheat on you, or whatever. These mind manipulation games that men like to play with women. That is a violation. It is emotional abuse, sexual abuse. It is a violation. It is a violation. You are not supposed to coerce a woman, try to mentally manipulate a woman into doing what you want her to do sexually. Something that she is not comfortable with. Okay? It's a violation. Or force her, worst case yet scenario, forcing her into doing something sexually that she's not consenting to, or she's comfortable with, or doing something sexually with her without her consent. That's a violation. All that is a violation. And that's something that we need to talk to our young boys, our teenage boys, young older men need to go over this, and mothers and fathers need to go over these things with their teenage sons, because that's how you're going to mess around and get caught up in a rape case. That's something like that can get you caught up. As I told both of my sons about the Stephaling, I said, both of them, their fathers don't have these conversations with them. I said, and I let them know, you take a condom off without a woman's consent, That's a violation. That's a violation. No state has the laws on the books that a man can be prosecuted for that. But California, like I said, a lady tried, but she was going up against so many misogynistic males that she couldn't get it passed. But California is the only state that a woman can come back and sue for that. Yes, if a man takes the condom off during relations, a woman can come back and sue. So be it, because you have no business coercing a woman, forcing a woman, doing something against a woman's will without her consent. You ain't got no business doing none of that. And that's where she gonna get him. If he did something to her sexually that she did not consent to, that's where she gonna get him. That's where she gonna get him. That's where she gonna get him. Because she said something in one of those emails. It was some key things that she said that he was supposed to do, he didn't do, or he did something she didn't consider. Yes, that's where she gonna get him. So she was smart enough that I gotta give it to her. She might have been 19, but she was smart enough to record him and document stuff. She was smart enough to do that. Yeah, that's where she gonna get him at. Go back and look at. I'm not gonna repeat everything verbatim on here, but go back and look at that. Look at the listen to. Listen to the look at the emails and stuff like that. Yeah, it was some situation to where he didn't use a condom or something. She said there was something else that took place that she said she didn't give consent to. In the email. Yeah, that's where she gonna get him. Consent. It has to be consent every time. Every single time it has to be consent. Every sexual act has to be consent. If there's an understanding a condom is going to be used, okay, you got to keep that thing on. If you take it off during the course of intercourse, that's a violation. It's a violation. These men, y'all men better wise up and you better learn. You can't. Women's rights haven't come that far, so men think they can get away with this stuff. And then a lot of these men try to trap a woman and get a woman pregnant and all this stuff. So men been getting away with this stuff for years, and us women not knowing that these things are a violation, we go along with it, because we're not realizing. I've had that happen to me. I've had a guy do that to me. Take yes, I've had that happen to me, and at the time I didn't realize that it was even a violation. But they're subjecting you to an unwanted pregnancy or sexually transmitted disease, so it's serious. It's serious. When they do that, they're serious. But a lot of men do that to trap a woman. That's why a woman, if you don't want to have no baby, you not it's not can have enough. Just a condom is not enough. You need to have a backup method of birth control in addition to the condom, because a lot of times these men will try to set you up, and that's what the manosphere don't want to talk about. See, the manosphere don't want to talk about that. They don't want to have that discussion. But us women's sphere, we have these conversations. But the manosphere, the red pill, they don't want to have these conversations. They don't want to talk about it because they know that's what they do, and they try to be slick about it. And then they try to trap a woman, get a woman pregnant, and because they know that she's going to get blamed for it. They know that she's going to get blamed for the pregnancy. So, yeah. And they know all they can do is run off and not support the child or whatever. Try to avoid paying child support in that whole 9 yards. But that's another video. My advice to women is, I'm always going to say abstinence first. Celibacy, abstinence first. I'm always going to say that first. But should you decide to participate in relations, make sure that you have that condom, and make sure that you have a backup form of birth control if you are in your childbearing years, so that a man can't pull that stuff on you, because they try to be slick and they try to do that. I've had it happen to me before, and I'm sure that it's happened to millions and millions of other women. And if we come back on these men, it'd be a whole lot of them sitting in jail. if there was a law against yeah. So that's something that young women need to be educated on. Young men need to be educated. I told both of my sons, if you do that to a woman, it's a violation. Don't do that. So we got to educate our sons. And we got to educate them on some women, yes, are deceptive and they say no and they mean yes or whatever. That's a whole nother video. But there's certain things that you shouldn't do. If a woman really truly does not want to do something, doesn't feel comfortable with doing something sexually or whatever, don't do it. Don't try to coerce her into it. Don't try to manipulate her, mentally manipulate her into doing it, because all that is a violation. It's a violation. And a woman shouldn't even be getting involved with such a man because he ain't got no respect for you, and nor does he have any love for you. But that's a whole nother video. But I wanted to get that straight on that. I wanted to get that straight as far as consent. That's where she can get Shannon on. If he did certain things to her that she didn't consent to sexually, that's where she can get him. Okay, hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what you guys think about the age thing. Um, about the age thing, about the consent thing with Shannon Sharp. What do you think about that whole situation with Shannon Sharp and this young lady? I just think he was stuck on stupid. He let his little head affect his brain, thinking with the head down here instead of thinking with this one. Stuck on stupid. So hit me up in that comment section. Well, he gonna learn today. And a lot of black men, they gonna learn today. Okay, well, hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button, please. Hit that like button. Shoot that algorithm up. I need the algorithm to go up. And share. Make sure you share this video. Until the next video, you guys be blessed.